Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for being here with us this afternoon with the Beyond the Chair uh, conference panel workshop, so to speak. Now, I am Dr. Abini Elamine. I'm the president of Project Ricochet. And I will have to say that I do apologize that one of our colleagues, Mr. Tommy Dredette, he is not able to be here with us today because he does have the sick child. And of course, you want him to be there taking care of his speaks. So, this conference workshop panel, so to speak, is Beyond the Chair, barbershops and beauty salons as hubs of healing and connection. This is going to be a case analysis of Private Ricochet's barbershop and beauty salon initiative. I hail to you from Lexington, Kentucky. This is where our initiative is headquartered in central Kentucky, yet we are a statewide organization. And I am joined also by Dr. Clinton L. Marks, who is our BB of operations for our firm. So, what is the Barbershop and Beauty Salon Initiative, or even more aptly, what is Project Ricochet? A lot of people ask me that question all the time. Where did we get the name Project Ricochet? Well, unfortunately, in 2009, a young man lost his life to gang and gun violence in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was the chair of the Raleigh Human Relations Commission at the time. And as we got together in community within that commission, we decided that we were going to do something about the gang issue in our community. Hence, Project Ricochet was born. The whole concept of the ricochet is that for that bullet that took Rodriguez the Shade Burrell's life in 2009 will have a positive ricocheting, reverberating effect in the community. So we find ourselves years later in Lexington, Kentucky, doing the work. And we got started, quite honestly, because of a little thing that happened back in 2019, 2020. What was that? COVID. So the state of Kentucky, like many of our states in the union, they put out the RFP and we submitted a grant proposal, and then we received that grant and we would take off doing public health work for Central Kentucky. So we are a community-centered public health approach, and we primarily focus on the African American community and then health for all. So we found that the barbershop and the beauty salon, they were great vector systems for how to do the work. When we initially began our grant proposal work, we were sitting around like so many others at the time, strumming our fingers, really trying to figure out like how are we going to utilize these funds? How are we going to maximize tax dollars? And it came up on us that the barbershop and the beauty salon was the perfect fit for exactly what we're trying to do. Because how many people in here have been to a beauty salon recently? And what about a barbershop? And how many people have been to a nail salon or a masseuse? Okay. So when was the last time that you went to your doctor? You know I can get you better out mouth, right? But you probably see your hairstylist or your barber and your nail tech and your masseuse more than you actually see your clinical medical professionals. So the reality is that we have a huge opportunity to disseminate public health and clinical information into our community like never before. Now, we are not the only barbershop and beauty salon initiative in the United States of America. These kinds of programs have been around for at least a decade, and they are doing some fantastic work in the community. But for every single initiative, I think we do it just a little bit differently. And so, fast forward, I used to work in the state of Indiana as a tobacco prevention consultant or specialist. And they had a barbershop initiative. It was a statewide initiative. But even while I was serving as a TTS way back when, I said, I bet you I can do that better. And through the work of my team at Project Ricochet, we've been able to really amplify the work in the state of Kentucky. So what you're going to witness is evidence-based research and data from 562 outreach events across 330 locations from 2023 to 2025. Give us a hand, please. Yeah, God, that massive amount of work. So that picture that you see here is actually Mr. Tony Burdett. I would not go through this presentation without him being recognized and without missing anything. So just to give you a little bit of context, is this is exactly where we're located. You know what? We're in 50 states and then our territories, but a lot of times people sometimes they don't even know where Kentucky is, and I have to point it out like this is where we are. No, we don't get a lot of swag and thrill, but that there we are. So again, we're located in Lexington, Kentucky. That's where we are headquartered. We're a community-based approach. We are down a statewide initiative because just recently we've received a contract by the Department of Behavioral Health to stream our initiative across the state. We are now in 60 counties out of the 120. And by the end of 2026, we hope to have the full program at all capability donor. Yeah. So that's a little bit about Project Ricochet, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Marks.
Well, certainly, thank you so much for attending our seminar here. We're certainly thrilled to be here, and you always got to give yourselves a hand for being here. All right. All right. So, what is the PR health? And that really is Project Ricochet Health or Public Relations Health, the Barbershop and Beauty Salon, affectionately known as the VBSI. It is a health forward community initiative. And what does that mean? We're boots on the ground, literally. They're in the barbershops, which is where we started with the men, because we were like, look, for me personally, I used to go to the barbershop a lot. Now my own barber, but in the, historically, it's been a safe place. It's been a haven, right? So I remember being in a line and literally there's 10 chairs waiting for guys to sit there and there's maybe 3 barbers. And we would just wait to get inside, but inside people are talking about sports, politics, girls, whatever. But one of the things we don't talk a lot about is our health. Getting a colonoscopy, getting your prostate checked. So those are the things that we're saying, hey, this is the best place to do that. And that's how we really started in the men's barbershop. And fortunately, the ladies were like, well, hey, what about us? So we expanded to the beauty salons, which is really necessary because we talk about breast cancer and ovarian cancer and all the different things that affect us, right? Disparities of health in our communities. All right. So, and this is one of our main stylists too, as well. She owns her own shop, Carolyn's Crown and Glory. So that's kind of talk about the why we started, but we want to increase our health awareness in our community. We really want to be there and talk to people face to face. We want to bridge the gap between our community, which is not really trusting of the medical community, and we want to bridge that gap between the medical community. So we want to talk about the metrics, and we're really metrics driven. We look at every zip code, every county in the state, and really where there are struggles in our health, we're going to address that, right? So we want to encourage, obviously mental health, and that's a big aspect to what we do. We've trained the barbers and the stylists to be mental health coaches. So again, as Dr. Elamine said, you'll see your stylist, you'll see your barber way more than you see your physician. So when a client comes in, they built that rapport. They can tell if you're upset. They can tell if you're going through something. You can share that story. And so one of the things we want to do is continue to build resiliency and community driven support networks. And so now we've expanded, right? So we kind of focus mostly on Central Kentucky, but now we've expanded throughout the state. And so that's allowing us to branch our tentacles even further in providing those services. So this is an innovative model. We've included the arts. And as you know, mental health is a part of the arts program. So we have our Urban Art Collective, which we have about 30 resident artists or local artists. And we have a resident artist, and you can see at the bottom, she's a spoken word artist. But this is also something that we have during like the summer. We have our World Art Camp. So we have our artists work with the youth and they help develop different art projects. And and so let's kind of go into a little video. This is kind of a real conversation of what our barbershops and beauty salons experience. Okay. And this is like a brief discussion that took place.
Happy the third people. He was guy on you. He was the kid Thorman's nice creation. It's crazy that the girl is Yuki go to somewhere listen to some metal plus calm down. You know, love making it. You feel different. Go ahead. Let's turn the club up. What you gonna get? And then pushes your own shit. And then all of a sudden the behavior and the act comes. Now you there, and you boy three goes, you got this split to this, you got you occurred then. Nanny me. That's the worst part. But if everybody, I just for every person that comes in here, whether they're sitting out there, I'll sit down, I share. They take all the way here from way, yeah, let them have some positive energy in their mind. See that? But coming, that's the one. That's the one, man. These years, I'm really, man, as you sure.
And then you show them the beer, and they give you the biggest grin, the biggest smile when they see themselves. That's the waffle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing else like it in the world.
He is just do just normal haircut for you. You see where you can sit in. It's the world from you. This is not a job. This is something I might do. This is something that it is at a point where now my skill is at a point where I know how to do both haircuts, but I'm trying to get more into the client or just see how they're doing with their health, their band. All of that makes a big difference because I could do a cut off thing, but did I reach it to that person? Did I get to say something that go all the way with? Did it come in and you leave the same way they came in? I don't want them to come in. I hope they come in cheerful and happy. Well, if they come up out there, they're gonna be laughing and be like, I gotta get back in here. Yeah, that's some fools in there. You know what I mean?
Like I'll cut somebody guilt takes 3 days later, like, man, I still look good. AD, like, yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's a great example. You know, one of the things we talk about in our spaces is safe. It's a safe space to talk about it. And so that I think to encourage that is something that we have to continue to do. One of the things here is our community impact surveys. And we're data driven. We look at the metrics and annually we do the survey. It's a statewide survey. And this is and it mentions Invictus. Wow, Invictus is a poem that was written by Ernest Henley 150 years ago. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds or shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Invictus. So this survey is very impactful for us because it helps us measure where we are, what we need to improve on, and what we can do to further listen to the community. It's really community driven. So that's the other aspect to it. So no matter which part of the county of Kentucky, if you know anything about Kentucky, some of it's, Louisville City, River City, Lexington's urban, but then you get into the rural areas of Kentucky, Appalachia. Those areas are really hard hit with, types of diseases and really dispirited because you can't really get to them. It's very difficult. There's no hospital. Let's imagine you're an hour away from any hospital. You get sick, then what? You're toast. So we have to reach into those communities as well. So that's why it's important that our outreach is key. Now we do have an outreach table here, and you're welcome to come and get some of our swag. We love for you to take it because I don't want to take it back home, but we love to for you to grab some. All right, so here's another example of a grand opening that we did at one of our barbershops and beauty salons. If we can get, we were really working with the technology here. So, and the gentleman, Tony, he's our master barber, by the way. And his barbershop took the initiative after being trained in our program. They've taken the initiative to become certified with working with autistic kids. And it is amazing because the stories that they share, right? You have a child who, he may be wanting to play on the floor. He doesn't want to sit in a chair. So they'll cut hair right on the floor, just to meet the needs of the child and understanding that relationship. And they building those relationships now. The child is becoming more comfortable by sitting in the chair, for example, because of the relationship that they're building.
So, what we are about to show you now is a deeper dive into the work that we do in Central Kentucky. This is a barbershop initiative event that took place in Lexington, Kentucky last year when we opened up our health promotion center in Cultural Cuts Barbershop. We have two sites within an actual barbershop and a beauty salon, one of which is our health promotion center where we offer clinics, any kind of clinic that doesn't require more intensive medical support. And we also have a gym inside of a beauty salon, and we call that condition white condition. So the whole premise of that is instead of sitting under the hairdryer, who wants to sit under the hairdryer? I hate sitting under the hairdryer. But in any case, we'll put the bag over the client's head and they can cycle for about 10 minutes and generate their own heat. So speaking of sustainability, right? There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Barbers like Damon Franklin at Cultural Cuts Barbershop not only cut their clients' hair, but also refer them to information on health resources.
We have the literature up there and everything, what have you, but some people ask about it, I tell them, so that's my role as far as that goes.
Several barbershops and salons in Lexington are part of the nonprofit Project Ricochet's Barbershop and Beauty Salon Public Health Initiative.
Historically, the African American barbershop has been a place for collaboration.
So we decided to create those 2 days together as far as showing the resources and avenues to take and numbers to call to better their health and to provide that for themselves and their family.
On Saturday, the nonprofit celebrated the grand opening of its health promotion and education center inside of Cultural Cuts Barbershop.
Cultural Cuts Barbershop is the first in Kentucky to open up a health clinic. It's the only health clinic in Kentucky with Project Ricochet.
On Mondays, people will be able to get free health screenings and vaccines.
This is a underserved community. Not a lot of health clinics in this area. So this is a great corridor. This Georgetown Street is historically, been an African American area connected to Newtown Pike. So this is a central spot.
This is an initiative that Franklin is glad to be a part of.
Being able to come here and get screened and for whatever, get your blood pressure checked. If you need to be vaccinated, whatever. It's a great thing, especially in this day and time, and in this community. Everybody don't have access to it.
With many diseases disproportionately impacting Black communities, this is an initiative that aims to address that. In Lexington, Geraldine Torellis, Spectrum News.
Yeah, that is, I love that video because it really shares exactly what we've been doing and it kind of shows images of it. One of the things we've done, we talk about the arts, everything is in-house with Project Ricochet. So we have our a resident artist. You saw some images on the walls that he did the renditions of every event that we had, and he made those, and so we have posted those, as well as our comic books. It was also made as well in-house. So again, this is one of the one of the pamphlets we hand out and we keep in all our barbershops. Every barbershop beauty salon we have has a kiosk in it. And obviously we have the one with the actual health center in it and the beauty salon with the fitness center in it. But this is something that we have on tables. We have condoms in there. We have blood pressure kits. We have Narcan in there. We explain all this information and it's just like a table. So it's available to any of the clients that come in there, and everybody knows, hey, I'm coming in to get some swag, or I'm gonna get some materials that I need for my health. And we always talk about keeping our haircut as tight, keeping our health as tight as our haircut, right? Because guys love to have a good haircut, but we don't talk about, how am I going to keep my health? And it's so important. So when we have our blood pressure events, you can get your BMI check. We have a scale there. Um, and that's something that, some people are afraid to do. They're like, "Oh, I don't want you to know how much I weigh." Well, I can see how much you weigh. You know, okay. Well, you're not 100 pounds. Okay, get on the scale, right? So now, right? So it's important. And so one of the things, that's really, I think we're gonna kind of get into a little bit more is how it culminates at the end, right? So this right here, obviously, this is the brain trust over here, Dr. Elamine, coming up with the Black Family Conference. And so it started with the Barbershop showcase. And so what we wanted to do was showcase at the end a culmination of what we've been doing for the year. And so we had in the beginning, the first video was a lyric theater as a historical theater that was in the Black community in Lexington. And we had barbers, 3 barber chairs positioned, and barbers were cutting hair on the stage in this auditorium while the audience could ask questions. So it was a question and answer star, and it went off, and we gave awards during it and everything. But then the next year, we said, "Look, we're gonna make it even better." So we created, the Black Family Conference, the inaugural Black Family Conference in Lexington. Now, there was one in Louisville, Kentucky, but, it actually stopped after a few years ago. So, this one where we had our master barbers, master beauticians, we had a panel, and it was a whole day event at the Gatton Student Center at the University of Kentucky. We had over 500 people attend, over 70 vendors. It was an amazing day, full of events, where we talk about farming. We had a doula training. We had a gospel service. We had a plethora of things going on. And I think at the end, I mean, obviously we had a concert, that was entertaining. And then we had our panelists for the barbershop and beauty salon, where people still were able to interact with those. All right. So there's key impact metrics. And again, I think it was mentioned that we've had over 62 events. And this event, 330 locations. Well, these are pop-up events as well. So could this be an event? Absolutely. We're speaking here. But any conference that we attend, we're talking about the Barbershop Beauty Salon Initiative because it's important. And so we want to share that with you guys and make sure that when you leave here, you taking something with you, an idea, all right, that we've come to really appreciate. Also on the metric there, it was t-shirts. I think we're a little short. It says 7,000. I think we've given out over 10,000 t-shirts. So people love our t-shirts. We've had different variety of t-shirts, themed different colors. So people are able to again promote the energy. It's nothing like driving down the street and you see somebody walking downtown with a Project Ricochet barbershop or beauty salon t-shirt on. And then strategic engagements. Again, we talk about the pop-ups, the conversation. Now, this is to me, this is my beloved part, and that is our Farm RX. And RX stands for what? Physician, medicine. So we know food is our medicine. So we're fortunate enough to partner with an African American farmer. And he has 22 acres in Kentucky. We have an acre of it. And we also have our own USDA certified garden that we grow food and we provide parcels of food during our events free to the public. And we give them onions, potatoes, um, cabbage, squash, all different types of herbs and peppers. And so we're really working towards teaching people that hey, we mirror the type of food with the ailment. So if you have a high blood pressure, this is the food you need to eat. You can grow your own food. And so we work towards doing the community healing circles and workshops and screenings. Just recently, 2 weeks ago, in an area in Lexington, an urban community, we created a community garden. And this was a Project Ricochet led event. And the community now has their own garden where they can grow their own foods. We've already started it, with different kale, cilantros, all those type of different herbs in there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think there's maybe a little screenshot of that. Again, we talked a little bit about the Crown Fit Wellness program, the condition while you condition, and you can see images below a little bit there with the cycle and some weights, some light weights where they can just kind of get their heat going, heart rate up, and condition while they're getting their hair done. And this is innovative, right? This is something that, again, with Dr. Elaine collaborating with Dr. Dunn here, who is the owner of Carolyn's Crown and Glory. This is a unique opportunity for us to still deal with mental health, deal with fitness, and deal with nutrition, as well as reducing the social determinants of health. That's the main thing. Now, one of the things we do is we partner. That's what we're all about. If you go to projectricochet.org, which is a plug, you will see that the website address says Stronger Together Kentucky. We're stronger together. We see these silos. We say, I'm doing this, you're doing that. But when we come together, we can do great things. And this is one of the things that is beneficial about the Barbershop and Beauty Salon initiative is, we don't have all the barbershops, all the beauty salons, but the ones who are participating, trust me, we're doing a great work. We have our meetings, we collaborate. They pitch in, they help each other. They'll show up to each one's events. So if we're hosting something at one barbershop, you'll see the others come in and chime in and help pick up boxes, help maybe do a haircut. They'll get in there.
Thank you, Dr. Marks.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I would be remiss and I did not create an engagement opportunity for this session. Now, we knew when we came to social connections that we were going to be with the best of the best of the brightest of the brights. Okay. So let us just keep it real. That's why you have these big post-it notes along with some little post-it notes on the table. And so while I'm going through the rest of the presentation, what I'd like for you to do, because I want you to be engaged. I don't want you looking at your cell phone. This is not the time. We're in a deep strategic management, strategic session here. Okay, folks? And on the table, you have a big post-it note, and it says BBSI for the Barbershop and Beauty Salon Initiative is what that stands for. But then you also have up here.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
You got it. On one side, you have purpose, and then you have process, plan, and then pain. So for the little post-it notes, what I want you to do is to think about your own organization, your own strategic initiative, and I want you to start doing the things that perks. Why do you do the work that you do when we think about Seeds Up Connection? What is your process? What is your plan? And I'm not just talking about the strategic plan that you did 3, 6, 9 months ago. I'm talking about what is your plan moving forward. So we love to use the word innovation and amplification at Project Ricochet. The reason why we can do these initiatives is because we don't mind failures. We fail forward. That is a huge ethos of our organization. If you give me a good idea, I'll institute it tonight. Okay? So what is your plan? And then what are the pain points? And first thing that you're probably thinking is money, human capacity, energy, time. Dig deeper. All right. So we're going to continue on. And again, that's your engagement activity. So while you're sitting there, I want you to stay engaged, and that's your doodle activity. So just very briefly, I wanted to talk to you about the VBSI statewide expansion. This is literally so new. We just started this in October. I'm still trying to get my arms wrapped around it, and I'm still on my knees praying to God. Thank you, the great creator, whoever your creator it is. It's probably the same. It's probably the same energy course. But I'm still thanking this creator for allowing Project Ricochet to steward the statewide BDSI initiative. And so We are the originator of African American Barbershop and Beauty Salon Public Health Initiative. However, when we go out into the rural communities, there's not a lot of African American presence or even brown presence. And so there's not a lot of diversity. And so this is kind of a scientific experience to see how we can take the Barbershop and Beauty Salon initiative and scale it across any community. And we know that it will work because our barber and beauty salons are vector systems. Already, we're finding out that some of our regional prevention coordinator partners, they're thinking instead of barbershops, how about the feed and seed stores? Because that's where people come in. So public health is sexy, folks. It can be anywhere and everywhere. It must be any and everywhere because we are public helpful. So our mindset is health for all. So we're a culturally grounded, evidence-informed approach. What does that mean when we say culturally grounded? So a lot of people will look up here and they'll see that I'm an African American woman and they think that the culturally grounded approach is only for me. No. When I go into the rural communities, I'm looking for the culture of my folk in my Kentuckians in the rural counties as well. So if they like banjo playing, I like banjo playing too. Whatever it's going to take to get you to take your vaccine or to look at and think about family planning or to think about going to the doctor on a regular basis, we're going to talk about it. If that's how I'd have to align with you. Hey, I'm from Kentucky. I love banjo playing, by the way. So purpose, of course, is to expand throughout the entire state. And so we do that through our train the trainers model or types, the training level of trainers, which builds global capacity while ensuring with fidelity and sustainability of our initial program and the work that we've always been doing. So just to give you a snapshot of what we are doing, because we do have a more intense engagement activity that's a mentee and want you to be involved in, but we want to give you the ethos. We want to give you the work that we're doing to get you guys to be thinking about maybe implementing some of these ideas in your own community. And so our approach is for Project Ricochet to train the RPC coordinators, the directors, as well as coalitions, the barbers, and the sites. The best part about this is the local ownership, okay? So it's one thing that we do here at Project Ricochet. It's not about what we do. We go into communities. We have a barbershop initiative approach. We have a faith-based initiative and a school-based approach. So everything that we're talking to you about here, we're just localizing it at this point. The point is, or the greater point is that, as Dr. Marsh just said, I know I'm sticking to the choir. It's about listening to community voices, not trying to spread my ethos, education, lived experience. It truly is about listening to the people and then letting the initiative grow from there. That's how we came up with Crown Fit Wellness, because it just so happens that Carolyn, she plays pickleball 5 to 6 days out of the week. She loves fitness. And so this was a great way to take something that she's passionate about and place that into her salon so that she could influence and inspire her clients. So with the implementation timeline for an RPC, for weeks 1 through 4, we do a planning and a training. Months 1 through 3, we do local implementation. Months 3 through 6, we monitor and support. And months 6 through 12, we use SAD engagement and reporting. So the sustainability plan is that we want to build the RPC SAT capacity. That is not about someone or several people on the RPC staff doing all the work. This is about the community doing the work. We started Project Ricochet with 4.5 people, literally 4.5 people, okay? FTE, all that, all right? And so since then, it has spawned to over 80 people within our initiative. And most of them are not on our SAT. They are our barbers and our stylists, and they have been imbued and inspired with the work of Project Ricochet, the work of public health, the work of behavioral mental health, the work that you do. They are inspired. And so even without us being there, they do this work and then they report on it on an outreach form. So the goal is anytime that you're going to implement an initiative like this is to make sure that you really inspire people to do the work for you and to actually to do the work with you. And so the sustainability plan, like I said, is to build RPC staff capacity, retain resources. And so make a chance to get this African American Barbershop and Beauty Salon Initiative curriculum book, as well as templates, technical assistance. There's also the statewide peer learning network, which is in a Canvas modular profile. And then, of course, the outcomes are health advancement for all, the community trust, and the connection piece. And so what are we doing? So what we know in the state of Kentucky is that our barbers and our stylists, beyond the work that they do in their local communities, they're not very well connected. So this is another opportunity to connect people in different ways. We are currently already working on a 1-800 number with New Vista, which is our mental health RPC, so that barbers and stylists around the state of Kentucky can have their own 1-800 counseling hotline. People tell they tell their barbers and their stylists everything. I have even got myself wanting to do the same, but now that I'm doing this work, I stop myself and I'm thinking, I need to call an actual therapist, right? This person probably has enough going on. And so the goal is to create a lasting network of barbershops and beauty salons is help us, not just for the time that we have the grant resources and not just for the times that we have technical assistance, but to really infuse this initiative, this ethos, this spirit, this culture into barbershop and beauty salon communities where, regardless of we're there or not, they'll continue this work. Do you understand the application of it all? So this is a map of the state of Kentucky. And so essentially, I'll point this out, but we have RPC 5, 6, 7, 15, 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13 that are part of our network. We're still working on this part of the state. When we talk about pain points, the reason why we think that we don't have that area of the state is because they're doing some really innovative public health initiatives now, and that's what they're focused on. But wait until they see the outcomes of the other 8, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to jump on board. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes you just need to see. You just don't believe. You didn't get it the first time, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to show proof of purpose, and then we're hoping that the other RPCs will sign on. So I'm going to attempt to pinpoint. I could stand up here all day and talk about all the great things that we do at Project Ricochet, but let's face it, the work that we do is difficult. Trying to eradicate cancer and blood pressure and blood disease and bone disease and homelessness and poverty. It's hard work. It's blood work. And so there are some pain points, and even the people that do the work sometimes, they need just a little bit more assurance that we can do this thing, people. We can do whatever we set out to do. So the kind of reaches that we have 8 RPCs a part of our network that represents 59 counties actually. And so we are Project Ricochet. Who would we be with these PhDs and all the masters and every other kind of degree and letter that we have on our side and in our network if we didn't do the evidence-based part of it? So we publish quite extensively about the work that we do because public health and behavior prevention should not be in a vacuum. There's a lot of evidence-based reporting out there, but some people in the African American community, they don't read it. Let's just face it. They don't read it because it may be, I won't say over their head, but over their understanding. Maybe the terminology is not approachable and accessible. So what we do is we create peripherals that are accessible, books that are not 300 pages, but 150 pages with curriculum, engagement activities, journals, poetry, how-tos, the whole compendium for the African American Barbershop and Beauty Salon edition in terms of how we got started, how we do it, how we're doing it, and how you can do it. We also have documentation on staying lean and organizational proficiency and process for nonprofit as well as for-profit organizations. Why that's so important is because a lot of the pain that we hear about in the community and with other small nonprofits, grassroots nonprofits, even bigger nonprofits, is that sometimes there's those organizational, operational, there are these gaps in terms of really achieving effectiveness and efficiency. So we provide the resources to help people to scale from where they are to where they want to go. So these are some of our most recent publications. You try to make sure that we have something for everyone. And so the Lyrically Inclined Feast, we publish that on behalf of our artist in residence, the Hollis. And then we also have publication on addressing social challenges of wealth through financial literacy programs, which also butts up right against our Tech Financial Legacy Initiative, so forth and so on. So some of those publications are actually here. And so the lessons learned are that we found that we must be flexible, that cultural relevance is critical if we didn't know that already. And this is my club. In 2025 of this year alone, African American women have lost $30 billion plus because of layoffs. What is that going to do for our communities in 10 years? What is that going to do for the African American Buddhists? That's not just African American women, that's brown women, that's Caucasian women, that's men, that's whoever. So whichever community, we can say, right? But what is that going to do for our family structures 10 years from now? So we're already looking at these things, really trying to understand what does that mean when we say cultural relevance and how is it crucial? Why is it crucial? So some of the challenges that we have discovered is the saturation, making sure that we all do the same events, that we're innovative every single time that we go to one of our barbershops or beauty salons. We want to make sure that they're not engaging gags. And so trust me when I say you, we are always up night and day trying to figure out how to keep this initiative exciting for folks. And then, of course, stack burn. And so we're really excited also to tell you that we had 96% retention rate of the folks that work with Friday Ricochet, but there's a method to it. I actually build programs around the individual. So it's really hard for them to escape us. Because the program is there, right? And so they get a chance to lead and be a leader in the community. And it is having a great amount of benefit because now I can walk away. They are empowered. Dr. Ricochet can walk away and that program is still there because the person now has the structure and the capabilities to run their own program. They're leading the work in their own communities. That's powerful. That's connection. So the value of qualitative data and lived experiences cannot be refuted. And so in academia, we love quantitative documentation and evidence-based research. Why? Because it's easy. We can flip it. We can pivot it. We can do all the things with your regressions. But the reality is that the stories are what is so impactful in terms of reducing suicide and mental health disparity and building confidence. So the conclusion of calls to action is, of course, for the work that you do, we at Friday Ricochet, we ask you to continue to do what you're doing. Honor the cultural legacy and community leadership that's within your own communities. Co-create public health interventions, local voices more so than acts, and then transform outreach into sustained systems change beyond programming. And so what does that require? It requires hiring people that don't look like you. It requires putting people on your board that don't look like you, that don't talk like you, that may not speak the same language. We got Google Translate people. If there's someone using unilingual, you can translate it. We have people on our teams like that all the time. We have people of all abilities. We even have board members and advisory members who are youth, as well as we have youth on our Urban Art Collective. And we also have people in wheelchairs and who have all kinds of sorts of ability or inability. We bring them together because they matter. Their voices matter. I've heard time and time again at this very conference that people need someone to believe in them, to see them. And then this is how we create thriving communities. So this picture here, this is of my co-host, Mr. Terry Dupper, who is my co-host of the Ricochet podcast. To find that podcast on WKY.org, trying to more about the work that we do and how you do it. So I do not believe in reinventing the wheel. I believe in that we have a lot of break potential here. And so what I'd like to do in these next 16 minutes is we're going to take you through a Menti. And so this is our social connection of VBS activation. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to switch to the Menti, and you're going to have the opportunity. Oh, let me go back here. So what I want you to do is I want you to QR code. So you are at your tables, and so what we're going to do is we'll have somebody set up. We're going to identify someone to present on behalf of the group. You'll work as communities to answer each question. Obviously, you only have a couple of minutes to answer each question, so you're going to get to it. We've been here for a couple of days, so we're family, we're friends, we know each other, right? And then number three, you're going to record their sizes in centimeters, so you can be doing that quick fix. And then we're going to have a quick report up. Now, we're going to do this, okay, folks? So you got your Mentimeter, all right? All right. So everybody has the code. Is that correct? Everybody has the code that wants the code. So the very first question is, reflect on why barbershops and beauty salons are important cultural spaces. What role do they play in your life or neighborhood? Please discuss that with your technical members and Mincy, please. How about that? All right. I'm going to leave the last and final question up in Mincy. So if there's anything else that you would like to share with us, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm going to bring you back to the phone, everyone. Welcome back. So thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this collective barbershop and beauty salon strategic plan. And let me tell you where you're going to find our collective plan that we have co-created today is give me a couple of days to create this beautiful canvas-worthy, Canva-worthy strategic planning for, again, this collective work. But that will be posted on our website. So you can visit genretogetherkentucky.com or projectricochet.org, and you can glean from this and maybe even implement your own barbershop or beauty salon initiative in your own community. So what we decided to do, given that, is we're going to go ahead and go back into the presentation. And if we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, to do the round robins with the tables, but we would like to open the floor up for Q&A. If you have any comments, I'm going to pass the mic.
Thank you so much for this presentation. It's just really beautiful to see work that you all are doing. Thank you. And just the way that we'll be like structured around the community.
But so many partnerships, everything.
I'm also very soft-spoken. So, is that better? Yeah, okay. I had a question about, the reach of this is like amazing. It's really cool to see. I was curious to hear what conversations have looked like or like thoughts have been around sort of like born handoffs, like what it looks like for once they got to that point, like what the connections look like for care providers that are also like in community and just like building those connections. So I guess the short version of that is what kind of the edges of this look like what do conversations stop and then there is like a transition where more handoff or yeah, I'm just curious couple.
Absolutely. That's one of the worst things that we can do, honestly, in human services, to be that contact person, that point person, and then to leave the person without resources or referrals. So the beautiful thing is that Project Ricochet, half of us are trained as certified community health workers through the state of Kentucky. The others are trained in-house at Project Ricochet as community health workers. All of us are trained on QPR, and several of us are trained on either youth mental health counseling or adult mental health counseling. We also are trained in American Red Cross certifications. Now, why is that so important? Is because now barbers and beauty stylists, while they are trained, these are lay-level people. This is not necessarily their industry in terms of health promotion or healthcare or clinics or this, that, and the other. But one of the things that we have found is that they have a proclivity of lifelong learning because their trade requires it. So we find resources and trainings and certifications that will amplify their own resumes and give them a sense of belonging and purpose, while at the same time not bootstrapping the organization in terms of physically. So these are certifications that are relatively inexpensive, but at the same time they have a massive benefit because they train people on how to be, again, the community health worker or the peer health educator. So we absolutely, at our organization, 100% of the time, if someone calls, someone answers. I could go on and on about that, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, Jesse. That's what none of this. Okay, either way. It's a more of a reflection statement and a statement of gratitude that I want to say. I think as a little girl, I couldn't wait to get in that chair and get my hair done like my mom. And so to see our culture on display for good and not so much the opposite, it feels really good to be in this room with you all. Like just getting being able to reflect on like the culture that we get when we're in the beauty salon or when people leave their barbershop. It's like, okay, you look good, but did you get taken care of today, right? Because we're already having conversations, but I just want to acknowledge that like our culture, it's the sense of pride for all of us, and so to see this on display, like I want to cry a little bit.
You can. You're gonna sex tights.
But I'm full of joy seeing y'all report out on this, seeing the success. And so, thank you. Thank you for the space.
Yeah, thank you.
And then my last question, can I go to the table? Because I'm really anxious for her to look at
Stop.
For me, I'm cancer free. Conversation if I had at a barbershop.
Dope.
Was just happened to be there, get my hair cut, and talking to a physician. And he was telling me the numbers of the black community, not the black males, not going to the doctor. And I'm like, wow, that's me. I went to the doctor, found out that my PSA was a little high. They caught my cancer at stage 1, just based on conversation. I'm here because of the barbershop.
Yeah, that's amazing testimony. It really is. And there's more stories just like that. I mean, it is amazing to hear those stories. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about how you did buy for the barbers to do this? You know, I can imagine there's a little bit of pushback. Like, I know how to craft and know how to do hair, but I don't know anything about health. So how you talk them into getting that trained?
Awesome question. So little old me, we're on thought be tall. They would probably throw me out of the barbershop or beauty salon if I tried to do this autonomously. So what we did was we were very strategic about making friends and allies with some of the barbers and the stylists in the first place. And then we had them to buy in. And then we trained them. And then it became not just a program, it became who they were. And they started to walk the walk and talk the talk. Other barbers and stylists started to see this and then they wanted to join on. Has it been 100% successful in terms of do we still have the same barbershops that we had at the very beginning of the initiative? No, because the reality is that we need to move forward with people who are going in the same direction. I will also admit we are fortunately and by the grace of the creator, we are subsidized by our Medicaid providers. And so that makes it a little bit easier for us to provide incentives to the barbershops when we host our events. And so, like, for instance, if one of my barbers calls and says, you know what, my chair broke down, that's easy. That's it. Push the easy button. Go get a $200 chair. If that's going to make them happy and keep them in the work, that's what we do. Providing transportation vouchers. The PR Health on RX initiative, as I was explaining to Hannah, the only difference that we made in the state of Kentucky in terms of our food distribution system was that we started to couple that with nutrition information and we started to talk about health ailments and said, okay, this is the list of vegetables that will reduce blood pressure and passing that out along with the produce. So now people have more of a willingness and they're more encouraged and inspired to now eat the food as medicine. And then when you do that and you train your barbers or your community health workers, your peer health educators, including our youth also become peer health educators. We call them the Ricochet squad. And what they do is they're now training their siblings, their school marms. And let me tell you something about environmentalism, quick short story. I am now an environmentalist all because of my baby sister. Years ago, she came into the house and she had went through her school day. And so somebody had encouraged her to recycle everything. So we found that we had a little bit of trash and we recycled everything. And to this point and to this day, when you go into our house, everything is recycled. We're the same way. Okay. So young people have and can influence their parents and their community likewise. So the question is the buy-in. When you make it about them and not about you, when you make it about them and not about your program, when you make it about you, about them and not their a grant, this, that, and the other, the people buy in. That's the easy part. Press the easy button, make it about them. Any other questions?
Well, I wanted to hang on to something that she mentioned about Ely, this initiative highlighting something so positive about the Black culture. This, as you were talking about the questions that you have and applying it to ourselves, I realized that our society today really tries to make things like going to get your haircut facts. Like it's all about convenience. Supercuts is just get in and out. And this is something that I think a lot of cultures in my own are losing, that there are certain things about your origins where you need to bring back and not then we've almost made everything so much about getting in and out so fast. And this is like a perfect opportunity to tap into so much more and I social connection. It's very special.
Thank you so much for that question and the response. The thing is that yeah, the barbershop and beauty salon, this is the hub where so much happens in our community. This is where connection happens. This is where healing happens. We could stay here all evening. We know that you have plans. I am Dr. Abini El Amin. This is Dr. Quentin L. Marks. And you have been all that. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you so much.